Hi, this is John Burroughs again, and I am going to continue with my autobiography, 7 Years to Life. This is chapter 49, and it is called The Visitor. I loved working at 42nd Avenue Shell. It was situated right on the famous El Camino Real. It was a place where my good friends could find me 80% of the time, and I enjoyed spending time there even after I had completed my shift. Many times I would go home, shower, and drive back to the station. Invariably, one of my friends would come by and we would figure out something to do that night. More often than not, we would stay there and bullshit because the employees that were still on duty were good friends also. One of the greatest relationships I've ever had with another male who worked there was Hal L. There will be more stories about Hal later. The station was also my refuge. It was there for me in the best of times and the worst of times. I think about 42nd Avenue Shell often. Laugh if you like, but as I look back at certain incidences that took place, I am convinced that a good spirit constantly watched over that place. I know that other people, employees or their friends, could sense that same feeling, though I think most of them would never admit that a spirit resided there. I believe it was that spirit that prevented me from perhaps ruining my life forever. One day while I was on duty, I was emptying some garbage in the trash bin that was located at the rear of the service station. My life had been going smoothly for 3 or 4 months. Georgia was giving an honest effort to resurrect our relationship to the state it had been when we first fell in love. I was giving the same effort, though it remained unspoken, that I think we both knew we would never have the same feelings for each other again. I was certain, however, that we were equally committed to trying every option until there were no options left. That type of committed effort between two people was an uplifting experience, regardless of the final outcome. Hal was a biker and looked every bit like one, and in our past we had hung out with some dangerous people, some that were capable of murder, rape, and other heinous acts. We both had distanced ourselves from those people relatively unscathed. This created a special bond between us because we often spoke of some of our experiences with each other, and we knew we were lucky to be alive, though it was hard to eradicate the last remaining remnants of violence that we knew, if the situation called for it, our anger increased to rage, we could and would use violence regardless of the consequences. On this particular day, Hal found me emptying the trash and said, "Paco, there is some ugly-looking dyke around front asking for you." Hal called me Paco and would get pissed off if anyone called me by that name, if anyone else called me by that name. I said, "What does she want?" He simply stated with a disgusted look on his face, "Fuck, I don't know, brother. Just see what she wants and get rid of her. I don't like the bitch, and I think the rest of the guys are feeling the same way." I went to the front of the station. Hal was right. She was effing ugly, and sorry to disappoint you, but not everyone is beautiful in their own way. However, her disgusting appearance did not bother me nearly as much as the yellow feathered earring on her right ear. Any doubt I had about the identity of this person was completely erased by the sight of that earring. It was the girl that Georgia had the affair with at the art school in New Mexico. My first thought was that even if I were a lesbian, I would not give this beast a second look. I marched toward her with a scowl on my face and hissed between my teeth, "I understand you're looking for me." She asked, "Are you Paul?" I just gave her an affirmative nod of my head. Unbelievably, she hugged me, and in an excited voice she blurted out, "I'm Judith. Georgia has told me so much about you, and just from her description, I feel that I've loved you from afar. I finally saved up the $10,000 that I need so I can get my sex change operation at Stanford. I thought that when the operation is complete, the three of us could live together and share a different kind of love." It was abundantly clear why Georgia didn't want anything to do with this bitch, but nonetheless, a maelstrom of doubt exploded in my head all over again. I suddenly remembered that this whole scene was taking place in front of the station in full daylight. I told her that I was there a couple of times when Georgia told you in those uncertain terms on the telephone that she did not want anything to do with you anymore. Judith said, "She doesn't really believe that." Much to everyone's surprise, I dragged her into the station, picked up the wall phone, and dialed my home phone number. Remember, cell phones did not exist at this time. Georgia answered, and I said, "There is someone here who wants to speak with you." Georgia was confused and asked me who it was. I said, "You'll find out." I then handed the phone to Judith. I could tell by Judith's reactions to whatever Georgia was telling her made her sad because tears started flowing from her cheeks. Georgia looked at me in a bizarre way and said, "She is lying. I know she is lying." I was holding my anger in check, but when I heard this, I became enraged. I told her that we should finish this discussion behind the service station, and she followed me around the back. I know that if I could have killed her then and there, I probably would have. Witnesses were the only obstacle block. I remember thinking that I will get her to tell me where she was staying, and if it was a hotel, I would go over there and finish her. Of course, I really wouldn't. Instead, I said to her, "So you want to be a man?" She started to answer me, and I told her to shut the F up, and I continued. "I'm going to treat you like a man then. Georgia told you before, and again on the phone a minute ago, that she is done with you. You better believe it, because if you contact her again, rest assured that she will tell me. If that happens, I will find you, mister, and I will beat you to within an inch of your life. Sex change surgery will be impossible because there will be nothing left to operate on." For those of you who have never witnessed me in a state of rage when there is no doubt that I intend to do meaningful physical harm, it is a very scary thing. I know this because it scares the shit out of me that I was at one time in my life capable of it, and this was one of those times. Fortunately for Judith and I, it worked. I never saw it again. As I said, 42nd Avenue Shell was a refuge for me, and I called Georgia and I told her that I would be home late that night. She understood. I was sitting in the office, pounding down drink after drink with Hal in silence. Hal moved his chair next to mine and draped his meaty arm over my shoulders and consoled me only as Hal could. He said with a slight smirk on his face, "Paco, I eavesdropped. I heard everything you said to her out back. Just say the word, and I will get it done, and no one will be wiser." I knew that if I said okay, he would have proceeded, but he was also sure that my answer would be no. This is just one example of the mysterious spirit of 42nd Avenue Shell. I remember thinking, when I was at the height of my murderous rage, there was a faint voice from deep inside of me, and as soft as that voice was, the words were crystal clear. You had murder in your mind, but it never pierced your heart and soul, and it never will. That is not who you are. That spirit may not be real to you, but it is real to me, and that is all that matters. It saved me